Become a Saint with Nico, Episode 9. We're reading from the life of St. Philip Neri.
Chapter 5. He leaves his studies and gives himself wholly to spiritual exercises. Philip had now made sufficient advancement in learning, not for his own use only, but also for the edification of others, and he began to consider the apostles' words, "For I say, by the grace that is given to me, to all that are among you, not to be more wise than it behooves you to be wise, but to be wise unto sobriety, and according as God has divided to everyone the measure of faith." Romans 12:3. Now therefore he laid his studies aside, and applied himself wholly to that science which is found in the crucifix. He gave himself up more than ever to prayer, knowing full well that that was the means of arriving at the perfection which he desired. Whereas study is a great hindrance to perfection, prayer and study with equal jealousy demanding the whole man. First of all, he then sold all his books and gave the price away for the love of God. After this, he gave himself up to prayer in such a way that, from that time forward, he had nothing more at heart than perseverance in that exercise, and indeed he sometimes continued in it 40 hours at a time. While he prayed, he felt incentives of divine love multiply with such power within him and kindle a flame in his breast, that besides continually weeping and sighing, he was often obliged, in order to moderate the fire, to throw himself on the ground, to bare his breast, and use other means to relieve his spirit, which was overpowered by the impetuosity of the flame. Today's takeaway is the importance of prayer. 40 hours at a time, St. Philip Neri used to pray, and he knew that this was the way to perfection. This reminds me of Jesus telling St. Faustina in the Diary of St. Faustina that the way to reach the peak of perfection, faster than reading many books, is by listening to Jesus in our heart. And in another place in the Diary of St. Faustina, Jesus says that he's always in our hearts unless we're in a state of mortal sin. So yeah, if you're in a state of mortal sin, go to confession. But if you're not, this should give you the confidence that Jesus has all the answers. Jesus knows the way to reach you in your heart through prayer. But more importantly than that, prayer is the time when we let Jesus take over. It's like, imagine an athlete not having practice before his game or her game. They can try as hard as they want in life, or in the game, and they might not have that conditioning, right? They might not have that relationship with their body, right? Discipline, the capacity in their lungs, the cardiovascular health, right? Cardio, running, getting that heart rate up. They might not have that relationship with their body to actually follow through and do the things in their sports game that their mind wants them to do, that they know that they should do to win the game. Similar thing with our spiritual life. If we don't have a relationship with Jesus, because we can't muster our way through things in the spiritual life. Jesus has to be the one giving us the strength. Jesus has to be the one inspiring us with love. The Holy Spirit has to be the one giving us that wisdom, that understanding, that knowledge, gifts of the Holy Spirit. So if we don't have prayer, then we're basically going to be, we're going to be like an athlete with no training. We're going to be falling on our faces the whole game, which is life. You know, in Captain America, the first movie, he was asking, is this a test? When he jumped on the grenade, it was a fake grenade that was thrown. When he and his fellow soldiers were training, it was a grenade that was thrown. He jumped on it, and he told everyone to get back. And then after, he's like, oh, is this a test? Our whole life is a test. Our whole life, we are, like St. Paul says, athletes that have to persevere until the end. We cannot persevere if we don't have Jesus empowering us, giving us life, and loving through us. And prayer is the time for that connection with God. If we truly want perfection, if we truly want joy, as St. Philip Neri did.